Hello, that's right, it's Nick Dutch here again. Sorry I've gone low resolution one more time. The reason for this is it's late, I'm tired, I haven't got the time or energy to do the proper editing, and I just want to make this and basically upload it. And because I'm overtired, this is when I'm going to make more likely to make some kind of mistake. And it's the kind of video that is quite likely to make people want to try and misrepresent what I say to make them look cool, or to try and make their cause or their set of beliefs or points of view seem really, really valid. This particular video is not against atheists. It's why atheism as a way of being and or looking at the world doesn't quite suit me personally. Now, I can't turn around to you and say that God exists or God does not exist. I cannot turn around to you and say that I have proof of the existence of God or proof that God does not exist, or indeed not enough evidence to support the hypothesis that there is a God. I'm not even sure whether I can turn around to you and say that I believe in the objective existence of God. But the concept of a higher power or a God or something which is above you and is or represents maybe something to aspire to, that has certain attributes which are possibly parts of yourself or maybe exaggerations of yourself, appears to me to be somehow important. Now, whether God just exists in writings and is just a concept of a something which is there to inspire you, to give you direction, to give you confidence, or whether it's something which does exist and can exert a force upon you, or whether it's something which is just within the mind of the person who does theistic things, or the mind of the believer. It can have some effect upon the human or humanity, which can be used in a positive manner. Not that I'm saying that all people who believe in God are good. I have personal experiences which actually would suggest that there are a lot of people who confess to being religious or believing in God actually being nasty pieces of work or having something seriously wrong with them. But if their concept of God is something which gives them something to aspire to, and with the passage of time to grow into, with those particular individuals, I feel it makes sense for them to be religious, or to have a concept of God, whichever way you want to see it. Naturally, I still can't say that God exists in the same way as this cigarette lighter. I just can't do that. But to me, it doesn't matter whether God just exists in fiction or in the mind of the individual or as a concept that they choose to identify with or have some variety of empathy with. It can be used in a positive manner. Again, I will reiterate this, not in all cases. And maybe the number of people who use this concept in a positive way or growing up stroke self-developmental way outweighs those who use the concept in a more, for want of a better word, negative way. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. But for me personally, it doesn't it doesn't feel comfortable. It doesn't sit right for me to be able to turn around and say, there is no God, I do not believe in God. And if that's the way for you, then great. If that makes you feel comfortable, then fine. But I personally just don't work that way. I suppose I'm made of different stuff, and I've chosen, as a result of whether it's self-understanding or just living for a while and thinking about what makes me up, I have come to a way of thinking, perceiving myself and the outside world and my psychological environment, which is, for want of a better word, spiritual. Naturally, I've tried to apply some of my understanding from the degree I did in sociology and psychology to this concept, and I do really wish I lived in a world in which psychology and counseling theory and practice was taught in religious groups. Whether that's the New Age religions of Wicca and paganism, or whether that's the more socially acceptable or traditional religions of Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, and all the various subdivisions thereof. I don't care. I really think that type of education about Freudian psychodynamics and about how conversation can be used to help people, and how contemplation and introspection can be used, should be and could be applied to religion. But unfortunately, you don't get many people thinking along the allegorical line, unfortunately, and they tend to go towards the more literalist stance with both spiritualism as well as occultism, and of course the literal interpretation of God, which again I feel I have difficulty with. I can't believe in religious books or religious works in a literalist manner. That doesn't work well with me. I accept natural science. I naturally accept evolutionary biogenesis, the Big Bang, and so on and so forth. I mean, that's fact. But religiosity, from my point of view, doesn't deal with explaining how the physical world came into being. If you go back far enough to the Big Bang or before the Big Bang, there's so many unknowns. So I can just say quite honestly, I don't know, and I don't care that I don't know. It's not important to me. The concept of God deals with my mind. The concept of spirituality deals with my mind and my being and my emotions, and the other spiritual stuff that I do, such as meditation to try and assist my digestion, for instance, which I mentioned in a previous video. I do because it's just all kind of part of the whole picture. All right, it's a different set of behavioral patterns and psychological patterns which I've incorporated into my life, but it's come out of theistic activity, and of course it's all part and parcel of the use of my knowledge of hypnosis. I've read into that. If you just, I've got books on hypnosis on my shelves, as well as books on neurolinguistic programming, and God alone knows what else. And I suppose they are part of my religiosity. And that's basically the way that I stand. I'm in favor of people being what they are comfortable with, so long as it's not hurting society or hurting themselves. I am what you could call a spiritual individual, but although I'm, I engage with the atheist community on YouTube a lot, I watch a lot of the atheist videos, and I'm glad that I do, because there's a lot of interesting thought and understanding and reasoning that goes into some of them. And yeah, I mean, I just personally find it, for me, impossible for me to be a complete atheist. I can't do that. I'm a person who is spiritual but ambivalent. and you might even say agnostic, but it's agnostic to erring towards the side of the spiritual, and doing things such as, chakra meditations and astral body activity and all the rest of that, because it's all part of the universe that I personally experience and inhabit. Anyway, that's just a ramble from me tonight. I bid you good fortune, God and all goddess, and all none of the above. Blessed, great and glorious, soon to be famous one day, Nick Dutch, signing out for now.